Welcome to the Ford on Sports Podcast. I'm Austin Ford here to give you my take on sports. Last night was interesting. We had the NFL draft. I was somewhat shocked with some of the things that happened. Um, it was a very interesting night last night. We had some trades, whether it be or later than we expected, or we had some guys fall out of positions that I think they probably would have been very good at. And we had some guys taken in the first round that maybe were off some people's radar. And it was a really interesting night. You had some guys fall out of the first round. You had the Yetur Gross-Matos, you had the T. Higgins, you had Xavier McKinney, Grant Delpit, Jeremy Chin. There's a lot of solid players for day two. And somebody is going to get, well, there's going to be a few teams that are going to get first round players in the second round this year. And you might even be able to get one in the third round if Delpit drops even more. But there's a lot of good players left in this year's draft, and it's time to break it down. Cincinnati Bengals were on the clock at number one. I'm not going to give you the speech that we were getting all last night leading up into this pick. It was basically a foregone conclusion that Joe Burrow was going to go to the Bengals. I love the pick. I've been saying it since week 2, week 3 of the college football season. Joe Burrow was going to be the top guy in this year's draft. I love everything about Joe. Good old Joe, man. He has the arm. Very smart player. You can tell he puts in the work on the off season when he needs to. He went from being a quarterback that was just okay his junior year to his senior year being the best quarterback in the country, becoming the Heisman. Joe Burrow, I love everything about him. Whether it be because he had 3 elite receivers on that LSU team, or whether it be because of his talent, is besides the point. You go in with the situation, Boyd's going to be good enough. AJ Green, if he can stay on the field, will be good. Joe Mixon will be a good running back for him. But still in this year's draft, you gotta address some needs, and some needs are still the offensive line, and it's still the receiver position. So, in, through day 2 and day 3, you gotta focus on getting Joe Burrow his help, because Joe Burrow is gonna be something special if you guys give him his proper help. Next, we had the Washington Redskins. There were some rumors going around early in the day that the Redskins were kind of looking to trade this pick. From what Adam Schefter says, they did not really receive any offers that they took too serious. And at the end of the day, I don't think the Redskins can really complain about what they did end up doing, because they bolstered their front seven on the defense, and Chase Young, premier pass rusher in this league, he's going to be an elite player. He's going to be a superstar. Chase Young is going to get to quarterbacks in the NFL. He is going to the worst, or well, the best division for him, but he's going to be playing the quarterback that fumbles the ball the most twice a year in Daniel Jones. And it's just going to be a rough time for Daniel Jones. And you got to think that this Redskins team realizes that this defense is going to be different this year in the terms of this could be a Super Bowl defense, at least within the front seven. Next, we have the Detroit Lions sticking to the memo so far here in this year's draft. And the memo so far in this year's draft was to draft former and or current Ohio State players. Joe Burrow obviously started his first 2 years out at Ohio State. Chase Young, Ohio State legend. But Detroit takes Jeffrey Okudah, corner at Ohio State. Very solid pick here. Jeff Okudah to them. I mean, you just lost Darius Slay. I'm not gonna lie to you. When they were making the pick, I was like, I could still see them going Isaiah Simmons here. I was a little nervous. I'm not a big fan of the Jeff Okudah pick here with the Lions. And that's not because Jeff Okudah is bad. It's just because he has to play the Bears twice a year, and he's a great corner. Jeff Okudah is a good player. Um, I'm happy to see him go in the top 5. I'm just not happy to see him go to Detroit, because we got to see Detroit twice a year. The Giants. Now, this is the first big shock of this year's draft, if you ask me. Um, the Giants, I think everybody knew they wanted to go someone big, whether it be offensive line, defensive line, whatever. Um, and a lot of us had Jedrick Wills here, Tristan Wirfs. Maybe some people might have had Mekhi Becton. I'm not really sure if anybody did. But one guy I definitely did not see coming here is Andrew Thomas. I figured that with Jedrick Wills and Tristan Wirfs on the board, two very high potential guys, very solid guys as of right now, but they also have ceilings that are ridiculous. Obviously, Tristan Wirfs, he has a ridiculous ceiling, but Andrew Thomas, to me, was the most well-rounded day one starter in this year's draft. I don't know if he's going to ever be looked at as having that superstar potential, which is what I assumed would be taken here with Jedrick Wills, a very hard-nosed tackle. But Andrew Thomas, not a bad pick. The only reason you might be able to have to complain about this is you had a chance to take an offensive lineman that could be a premier offensive lineman in the league. But Andrew Thomas, I don't see any issue with this. He's going to be a very solid offensive lineman for Daniel Jones to pass behind and Saquon to run behind. Andrew Thomas coming into this year was the first offensive lineman that was supposed to be taken. Then he fell a little bit on everybody's mock drafts, and people were souring on him. But one team that did not sour on him was the Giants. I'm happy to see Andrew Thomas go here. Next we have the Miami Dolphins. Miami fans, y'all can rejoice. You got your QB that you wanted. You tanked and you got Tua. Tanking for Tua finally paid off, and you didn't even have to move up. With the fifth pick, you got Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback out of Alabama, the lefty. Like I said in my mock draft, the Dolphins are in need of boom or bust. Tua is either going to be a star or he is just going to be taken off the field due to injuries. And I like the pick here, mostly because of who goes next. Tua to the Dolphins. I like it because Tua basically has the reins of this offense now. There's not many things around Tua, so going into next season and going into the future, Brian Flores and company will have to kind of consult with Tua and see what kind of receivers he wants in the system because outside of really Devontae Parker and maybe Albert Wilson, I'm not sure they really have anybody to brag about offensively. Yes, they have Jordan Howard. Yes, they have Mike Gesicki, but I think you need to help him out some more. Bring in a great pass catcher day two of this draft. Maybe go out and get a running back, or maybe even go out and get one of the tight ends, just for a second tight end to have along Gesicki, unless you're sold on Durham Smythe, which I don't know if you are, but Dolphins, really solid pickup. You got your star potential. Now you just gotta hope he hits. Next, we had the Los Angeles Chargers, and this is the best scenario for any quarterback. You can see it if you're watching the YouTube video. I'm wearing the Oregon beanie. Justin Herbert out of the University of Oregon, 6'6". Some people were saying this was a bad pick for the Chargers. I don't understand why. Justin Herbert is 6'6" guy. He's pretty athletic. Um, he's He's just everything you want in an NFL quarterback. He has all the tangibles. I do know there are some accuracy concerns at times, maybe some questionable throws. But like I said, he's a winner. He went from being a 4-8 team to being a 10-2 team in his senior season, and he was the reason why Oregon flipped the switch and went from that below 500 record to being one game out of being in the college football playoffs. Um, if you look at Justin Herbert, outside of Johnson and outside of the running backs at Oregon, wasn't too much to brag about last season, and he led them to a 10-2 season. Yes, they have a solid defense, but a lot of it's still accredited to Justin Herbert. The Rose Bowl, he did some things we didn't expect. I watched all the Oregon games. I didn't know Justin Herbert could run like he did in that Rose Bowl game where he ran for 3 touchdowns against a good defense in Wisconsin. Um, I'm just I don't understand why people are questioning the Justin Herbert pick. He has really solid NFL traits. He's big. He's got the arm. He's mobile. And then you put him along with a Keenan Allen who might get hurt here or there. And you put him along with a Hunter Henry and an Austin Eckler. He's one of the best situation out of all the quarterbacks in the top 10. In the first 3 quarterbacks off the board. Joe Burrow, definitely not a favorable situation in terms of playmakers around him. Tua, not as well outside of Devontae Parker. But Justin Herbert, he has, if healthy, a top 10 receiver in the league in Keenan Allen, and that is real good for him. He also has Mike Williams. I mean, Justin Herbert's fine. He really is. There's not a question in my mind next year Justin Herbert will be more than okay if he starts. And next we have the Carolina Panthers, and this kind of shocked me a little. Luke Kuechly just retired, so I assume with Isaiah Simmons on the board, that's who you're going. I didn't like the Panthers pick here because you got, in my opinion, one of the better linebackers to come out in the last few years in Isaiah Simmons. You can put him at linebacker, you can put him outside, you rush him on the edge if you want, you can put him at safety, he can run up in corner in some scenarios. They showed a graphic with Isaiah Simmons. He's played so many snaps all over the field. It's ridiculous. But you take Derrick Brown, you take the big brute out of Auburn. Derrick Brown, very rough defensive tackle. He's going to go get you some sacks. He's going to go get some tackles to converge on him. So another guy can come out through there. But Derrick Brown here, I don't think was the right pick, especially with Isaiah Simmons, who I've been saying is a top 2 talent in this year's draft behind Chase Young. And I'm not saying Derrick Brown's a bad player. I'm just saying I don't think that is what you should have done. I didn't like the pick personally. And I love the next pick. With the 8th pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Isaiah Simmons, the linebacker out of Clemson. He's not just a linebacker, like I said. He can do everything. I consider him a hybrid. This is a steal. This is a steal for an Arizona Cardinals defense that I was questioning going into this draft. I was like, yeah, a lot of us have us taking him O-lineman, but if Isaiah Simmons is there, their linebacker situation isn't great. Maybe they pick up some defensive ends in the 2nd, 3rd round. Maybe another corner. Maybe they go safety. Their defense wasn't great last year. That's a big part because they didn't have a great linebacker. And Isaiah Simmons coming into Arizona, I think he is going to be one of them great linebackers. I said it when I saw the 8th pick. Isaiah Simmons, let it be known, he fell to number 8. In 5 years, Isaiah Simmons will be a top 5 defensive player in the league. Trust me, Isaiah Simmons has all the talent in the world. The only thing that could possibly mess him up is either an injury or something stupid off the field. And I don't think Isaiah Simmons is one of those guys that is going to go do something stupid off the field. Isaiah Simmons has all the talent in the world. He can line up anywhere on the field. I'm really excited to see what he can do as a Cardinal. Next, with the 9th pick, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they hit a home run with this pick. I had them taking Derrick Brown in my mock draft, and that's only because Derrick Brown was still on the board. If Derrick Brown's not on the board, I would 100% take this guy here. C.J. Henderson, with what was given to Tony Khan and the coaching staff in Jacksonville, C.J. Henderson was the right move. It was. It's not any of these receivers. You don't need one right now. It's not a quarterback. It's not an offensive lineman for you. You don't have Jalen Ramsey. So go out there and get a guy that I've been comparing to Stephon Gilmore. um, outside of the interception and that he is able to get. Um, Henderson, he doesn't get interceptions. He's had 6 in his career. But Henderson, he's a lockdown corner. You're not catching the ball on him. He'll bat the ball away 6 times a game if he has to. You're not getting the ball to whoever CJ Henderson is on. Love the pick here. Bump and run corner in CJ Henderson out of Florida. Um, he's staying in Florida, in Jacksonville, obviously. Um, any of these names that got picked after CJ Henderson, I honestly do not feel like would have been ideal, especially at pick 9. But CJ Henderson to the Jaguars, I love the pairing. I love being able to say at the end of the day that CJ Henderson was able to get in the top 10. I said he might be in play from 8 to 20. He was at number 9, and that's a great pick because the Panthers took Derrick Brown. I thought Derrick Brown would be on the board, but the Jaguars are getting a steal here with CJ Henderson. I thought he'd find a slide because of need, but Derrick Brown ended up going off the board because the Panthers didn't pick what we expected, and then the Cardinals didn't have to take an offensive lineman. One pick can change the entire order of the draft, and that's exactly what happened here, I believe. CJ Henderson went at number 9 because of who went before him. I think he could have fell a little further, and whoever was going to get CJ Henderson is going to get a good corner, day 1 corner. I love everything about CJ Henderson. Next, we have the Cleveland Browns. Still, we have no trades. Just throwing that out there. Cleveland Browns here. In my mock draft, I didn't think they were going to take this pick here. I thought they would find a way to trade out. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, people have been talking about Mekhi Becton here, maybe Tristan Wirfs. I'm like, every name I've heard linked to the Browns is on the board. They got Jedrick Wills, they got Tristan Wirfs, and they got Mekhi Becton still on the board. Top 3 O linemen in the draft, still on the board because Andrew Thomas went number 1. As a first offensive lineman, not number 1 pick, but so they get their pick of who they like the best, and that happens to be Jedrick Wills, the hard-nosed offensive tackle. I'm not saying a hard-nosed tackle, but he's just a rough-nosed tackle. He's a rough offensive tackle. He's gonna get in there. He's gonna be physical. He's a big guy at Alabama. You love to see it. He's protected the Tuas. He's protected Jalen Hurts. I mean, you got him going in there. Now he's getting to protect Baker Mayfield. He's no stranger to protecting some of these mobile quarterbacks. And I think Jedrick Wills is going to be more than fine here with the Browns. Somehow, some way, I got the Jets pick right. I predicted them to take Mekhi Becton. Whether it happened the way I thought it would, where some of these top O linemen are off the board, it didn't. But the Jets were given a golden opportunity here. I knew from the moment they were on this pick that I was like, there's no way they're going Tristan Wirfs because they've been scouting Mekhi Becton. Surely they're just not going to give up on their scouting of Mekhi Becton and just say, you know what, we're going to go best available. And they stick to their guns. They took Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. Big guy. Big guy. You saw him on the TV. That man was huge. He's like 6'7". He's a big guy, and that's going to be great when you got Sam Darnold trying to pass the ball, and you can get an extra few seconds because of how big this guy is going to be to get around. It's going to be hard to get around Mekhi Becton. And then once he learns and develops himself a little more, that he's able to just pancake you, it's going to be a big success here for the Jets. Love the pick here. It was the right pick. They knew exactly what they were getting out of Mekhi Becton, where Tristan Wirfs, they didn't really necessarily scout as much. But Mekhi Becton, big guy, he ran the fastest 40 for a guy his size, so he's not the slowest, but definitely not a fast guy, but he can be good on the offensive line, tackle out of Louisville. Really love the pick. Next, we got the Las Vegas Raiders making really the second big surprise of this year's draft. And it's not really a big surprise because some people have been throwing it around. Henry Ruggs, receiver out of Alabama, goes here. in my opinion, still Jerry Jeudy is going to be the best out of this year's class. Route runner, very polished. Um, Henry Ruggs, on the other hand, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. This isn't a knock on Henry Ruggs. Just speed kills, man. Speed kills, and it proved here when Henry Ruggs got taken before Jerry Jeudy. In my opinion, Jerry Jeudy is the most well-rounded receiver since Amari Cooper. I've been saying it. Henry Ruggs, on the other hand, he's going to be a guy that's going to be flashy. He's going to be a deep threat. I don't know if the Raiders made the best choice here. Jerry Jeudy, to me, reminds me a lot of Amari Cooper. And Amari Cooper obviously was a Raider, so I'm surprised they didn't like the polished route running ability. But Henry Ruggs, definitely not something to be upset about. But to me, passing on Jeudy for Ruggs is just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Especially because I think Jeudy will be the long-term star out of all three of the top receivers in this year's draft. And with the 13th pick, we finally have a trade. And that's because the Brady's Buccaneers got scared. They got scared that the 49ers would take their guy. And that's because their guy happened to be the best player available. And the Buccaneers go get Brady, his blocker, and Tristan Wirfs. I figured they were going to go offensive lineman here. I didn't think Tristan Wirfs would be in play here this late into the first round, mid-first round. But this is a steal. And this is a steal. You're getting a very good, very strong interior guy in Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle at Iowa. He's fat. He can be fast. He's used to running up and down the field. Obviously, with being with Iowa, the only thing is you have Brady, so I don't know how much that is going to be needed. Tristan Wirfs, he was. I don't know what did he run track or he was an Olympic something. I don't know what it was, but Tristan Wirfs, very solid athlete in general. Tristan Wirfs here, best player available on the board for the Buccaneers, trading up one pick to secure their guy. I don't think the 49ers are going to take Tristan Wirfs, but obviously with him being the best player available, you can't take too many chances if you're the Buccaneers, and traded up to get Tom Brady, his number one offensive lineman, was the correct move for the Buccaneers. You couldn't address anything else first round. You got to bolster that offensive line because Brady is not a mobile guy, and he's going to get crushed if you don't. And this addressed that need perfectly. The 14th pick that they just traded now belongs to the 49ers. Obviously, Tampa Bay traded them. Taking the guy I had him associated with for a very long time in Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle out of South Carolina. I like the pick here. The 49ers, I kind of was getting nervous that Jeudy would go here. He didn't, obviously. And I don't know if it was the best pick for the 49ers here, especially with Jeudy still on the board. But Javon Kinlaw, very good defensive tackle out of South Carolina. He's going to eat up some tackles. He's going to free up your other guys on your offensive line that's already really good. Your defensive line that is already really good. And this is just a luxury here. This is really just a luxury. It's filling the need that you left when you traded DeForest Buckner. He might not be as versatile as DeForest Buckner, but really good pickup here in Javon Kinlaw. This is a team coming off of barely losing a Super Bowl. Any name like a Javon Kinlaw here in this draft, just best player available situation outside of maybe Jerry Jeudy, one of the best players available. That's just a luxury pick for the 49ers, and I think they were more than glad to take Javon Kinlaw here at 14. He's a top 10 talent in this year's draft, if you ask me. The Denver Broncos. We have them staying pat, and we had some rumors earlier in the week that Elway and company were looking to trade up and possibly drafting Jerry Jeudy. They don't even need to trade up. Jerry Jeudy falls in their laps at 15, and I was ecstatic for Jerry Jeudy. He's going into a good situation. Elway, we know he likes to work with the quarterbacks. I'm really excited to see what they can do. Drew Lock, I hope he develops properly, because if he develops properly, we're going to see a very nasty receiving core in Courtland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, which is going to be really fun to watch. It is. Um, it's just a really good pick here for the Broncos. I had them maybe taking a Henry Ruggs. I figured he'd be on the board instead of a Jerry Jeudy. I thought CeeDee Lamb would be off the board by now. He's still on the board. But the Broncos take best player available in Jerry Jeudy. I love the pick. 16th, we have the Atlanta Falcons. Now, a lot of us had them maybe taking a C.J. Henderson here or a Christian Fulton, one of these top corners. And they did go corner. They just did not go the corner that I thought they would. I had A.J. Terrell still being a first-round pick, but A.J. Terrell finds his way in the top 20, and he finds his way in a Falcons uniform. I did not expect this one to come. I'm still a little shocked about this one. I didn't think A.J. Terrell would get the love he deserved simply because of that LSU game. But Falcons, I respect that you gave him his love because you're getting a good corner here in A.J. Terrell. And the only reason I had him going down as far as 24 when I did is because sometimes these GMs, man, they look at some bad tape and they're like, you know what, he might not be as good as we want him. A.J. Terrell is good. He had one bad game against 3 receivers that will be in the NFL in the next 2 years. And one was drafted in the first round. You don't hold that against a guy like A.J. Terrell. You develop him. You look back at the film. You address some things. Help him with some footwork maybe. Help him maybe locate a ball here in a certain situation. But you don't hold that against A.J. Terrell. I love the pick here with the Falcons. It was really just a jump ball with who the third receiver or corner was going to be. And I thought maybe it would be a Christian Fulton, a younger guy that just he has all the potential in the world, or maybe a Jalen Johnson or Jeff Gladney. But A.J. Terrell definitely is a good pick. You couldn't really go wrong with any of the corners. Well, I mean, you could, but any of the corners that have been first round-ish rumored, couldn't go wrong with any of them. A.J. Terrell, solid pickup for the Falcons. Next, we have a pick that I just don't like at all, and it's not because I don't like the team. It's not because of any of that. Dallas Cowboys select CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jones. It's a good pick, but it's really bad at the same time, man. You gotta address your secondary. You gotta get another edge rusher. You could have went K'Lavon Chaisson. You could have had Xavier McKinney. You could have had Grant Delpit. You could have had Christian Fulton. You could have had Jalen Johnson. You could have had any of these top secondary members. You could have went. I mean, you could have went Justin Jefferson. I don't really agree with that, but you could have done it. You could have went Kenneth Murray. You could have went Patrick Queen. You literally should have drafted K'Lavon Chaisson or a secondary player. That's not what you did, Jerry. Jerry, what are you doing? Jerry Jones was a sucker for the flashy pick in CeeDee Lamb, and I was shocked, honestly, that CeeDee Lamb was there for the Cowboys. You have Amari Cooper. You have Michael Gallup. I understand your receivers after that are a deep fall off, but you can't afford in the first round to go get a player that is just going to be a third receiver for you. I know CeeDee Lamb has the potential to be a number 1 guy, but right now you have Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup. You need to address the big concerns, and the big concerns are in your secondary, or maybe getting another outside linebacker in K'Lavon Chaisson. That was not your biggest concern. It's a deep receiver draft. That's why I was kind of sour with this pick. The Cowboys could have found a Denzel Mims in the second round. They could have found a Devin Duvernay, maybe round 3. But they were a sucker for the flashy pick, and they took CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, a very good talent. CeeDee Lamb also kind of snatched his phone away from his girlfriend, so there's that. But receiver out of Oklahoma, very elusive player. I like the player, I just don't like the fit. You're going to a team that already has a star receiver in Amari Cooper, already has a second receiver in Michael Gallup. I don't know how many good receivers you can throw in an offense before it doesn't work, and I'm not a big fan. I think you have bigger needs than receiver here, especially at this part of the draft. You could have still went K'Lavon Chaisson. You could have had your pick on one of the corners, one of the safeties. They're going to be there in the second round, but I think that there's still a whole lot more receivers in this year's draft than there would have been in some other years. Maybe this is a good pick last year's draft. Maybe this is a good pick the year before. But with who's still on the board and your needs, you can't be addressing receiver, especially since you have two receivers that are really good. I'm sorry, I don't like the pick of Jerry Jones. You were a sucker for the flashiness, and I can't blame you. CeeDee Lamb is a really solid player, but I'm just not sold on the fit, Jerry. I'm not sold on the fit. The Miami Dolphins here using Pittsburgh's pick. I figured they'd go offensive lineman at one of these picks. The offensive lineman I figured they would take was not who they ended up taking. I thought maybe Cesar Ruiz was in play. I was wrong. I know. But they go with a developmental tackle out of USC in Austin Jackson. I'm not completely sold on him. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but he needs some work. He needs to be polished up a little bit. Obviously, he's going into a situation that he doesn't necessarily need to be good right off the bat. I've been saying it. The Dolphins are not in a situation where you think they're going to be competitive next year, so you can use that as a year to develop Tua. You can use this as a year to develop Austin Jackson. I hope Austin Jackson comes out very good. It's just a matter of being able to develop him into whatever you want him to be on your offensive line, depending on the style of player you're going to be. But Austin Jackson, he has some potential. Don't get me wrong. He's just not as solid of a day one guy as maybe a Cesar Ruiz here, and I figured you'd go with that over an Austin Jackson. But Austin Jackson could become something special. You get your offensive lineman to pair with Tua. I can't complain with that. I just can give you an opinion here that Cesar Ruiz might have been a better pick. That's all I can really say about Austin Jackson here to the Dolphins. You got the Las Vegas Raiders here. Now they got this pick from the Bears. Bear down, everybody. Anyways, this one kind of surprised me here. Damon Arnett's a name we've been hearing second round for most of this draft process. I figured it would be a comfortable place. Maybe he'll be there for the 43rd pick for Chicago. Maybe he'll be even past that. I didn't expect him to go first round. This was the big shock to me, at least, so far in this draft. The Jaguars here, I think the Jaguars kind of wanted what am I saying? The Jaguars here aren't even picking. I don't know why I'm reading that. The Raiders here, they kind of want a C.J. Henderson to fall to them. They kind of want, for some reason, an A.J. Terrell to be there or a Jalen Johnson. But they didn't even take Jalen Johnson instead. They went for Damon Arnett, corner at Ohio State. They're sticking to Ohio State. Ohio State's a very good defensive unit, and they're trusting what Ohio State is able to produce on defense. If they're taking Damon Arnett, I can't really complain about Damon Arnett. I just think you could have got him in the second round. That's the only really knock. He's not a bad player, don't get me wrong. I just think he could have been there in the second round. Damon Arnett is a player I like. I just don't like him as the 19th pick in this year's draft. So that's a little bit of a reach here for me, at least. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they get a good edge rusher. He can do a lot. He's fast. He's a good defensive leader. He is K'Lavon Chaisson out of LSU. He's a very good player when he gets his moments. That's the problem with him, though. He either has his moments or he doesn't. He can be silenced or he can be sacking everybody. And I am sorry, but a lot of the teams that passed up on K'Lavon Chaisson, I think in the NFL he's going to be one of those guys that are going to be able to evolve his game and be able to sack a lot of people. K'Lavon Chaisson, love the pick here, especially at 20. He is a boomer bust kind of guy, but at pick 20, you're not missing too much if he doesn't pan out. But K'Lavon Chaisson could also be a dominant pass rusher in the league, and I love this pick here for the Jaguars. They don't know what Yannick Ngakoue's situation is going to be, so they go out and they get a defensive end that they know will be there for the next few years, and they know has the potential to be something special. Great pick here with K'Lavon Chaisson. Next, we have the 21st pick in this year's draft. The Eagles, you messed up. Somebody made a mistake. Somebody made the wrong call. I don't care who it is. I don't care if you thought he was going to be there or not. You have Justin Jefferson on the board right here. I personally am not taking speed over a more polished receiver who did it enough to move himself up at the first round. He was, I think, maybe a 4.5, 4.6. He got a 4.43 in Justin Jefferson. His tape says it all. He's a very solid player. He can go get the jump ball. He's a very solid route runner. Everything about Justin Jefferson screams first round. But the Eagles, they find themselves being suckers, and they take the flashiness once again. This is the second time with a receiver taking the flashy pick, and that's Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor, very fast kid. He I don't even know what do you run, like a 4.4 on his combine, but he boosted it in his pro day, brought it up to a 4.28 or something like that. Jalen Reagor, very fast kid, out of TC. The only issue I have here is Justin Jefferson was in your laps, Eagles, and I said it right as this pick happened. Let it be known that Justin Jefferson went before Jalen Reagor. Somebody made a mistake. I don't know who made the call. Definitely wasn't the right call, especially with Justin Jefferson on the board. Jalen Reagor, I think, is a guy that would have been maybe sliding into the first round just due to his speed. He ended up sliding into the first round. I don't really think he's a better receiver than Justin Jefferson, but you're putting him with a known speedster and Deshaun Jackson there in Philly, so he can learn from D-Jack. I assume they might be in play for maybe a big receiver. They still could because they obviously don't have a great receiving core outside of D-Jack and Alshon, who both are, one's old and one gets hurt. I figured you go the big guy, kind of make him Alshon Jeffrey Jr., and make him one of the big possession receivers. And just hope he doesn't get as hurt as Alshon does. But Jalen Reagor here is a little questionable to me, especially with Justin Jefferson on the board. Speaking about Justin Jefferson, I'm going to be seeing him 2 times a year, maybe sometimes 3 if we make him in the playoffs. And that is because he went to the Minnesota Vikings. The pick they got from the Bills in the trade, they got Stefon Diggs. This is unfortunate for Chicago. This is unfortunate for the NFC North. Justin Jefferson's a steal here at 22. I like the pick, Minnesota. You hit a home run. Receiver out of LSU. He surprised some people with his 40. He surprised some people last year, making himself into one of the premier pass catchers on that LSU offense. Justin Jefferson is going to be something special. The only problem I have is he is going to be playing Chicago twice a year. That's going to be nasty. You got Thielen and you got your guy now in Justin Jefferson, the replacement for Stefon Diggs. The 23rd pick. As a Patriots fan, I'm very disappointed to say we traded this pick to the Los Angeles Chargers. And I thought maybe things would still pan out because we'd have the 7th pick in the second round. I thought maybe my guy would be there. We'll talk about my guy later, but let me just let you know a little secret. He ain't there. The Chargers. They select Kenneth Murray, linebacker out of Oklahoma. Very solid pick here. Kenneth Murray's a guy that I think could have been in play maybe for the Dolphins, maybe for the Raiders, maybe a little bit for the Jaguars. I thought Kenneth Murray was going to be a good, solid pickup, mid-20s, early 20s, and that's exactly what happens. He goes pick 23 to the Chargers. I figured when the Chargers traded up, I was like, are they trading up for an offensive lineman? Surely not. Cesar Ruiz, is that a good pick for them? But when they traded up, I was like, are they getting help for Herbert, or what are they doing? No, they addressed the defense. I like the call. Your offense is already decent. Fix your defense up a little better and get Kenneth Murray there. I like the pick. Next, we have the 24th pick. I thought, really, honestly, that the Saints would be in play for Jordan Love here, just because of the age concerns with Drew Brees and maybe even a corner here. That's not what they went. I thought maybe Xavier McKinney could fall here, but he didn't. New Orleans takes Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan. They have him listed as a center. Kid can run tackle. He's been all over the offensive line. There's a lot of pro positions I think he can play. You're getting a good player in Cesar Ruiz. I really like the kid. I didn't think he would be a first round guy based on talent. I thought he might find his way in the first round just because we'd see this run on offensive linemen. But Cesar Ruiz, he had a very emotional moment. He was crying. I think it was, I don't remember whose story was what, but I think he was the one where he had his father die or something like that. In a car accident. Not 100% sure on that, but Cesar Ruiz, the raw emotion you got to see out of Cesar Ruiz, just the moment with his family, him crying, he finally made it. Those are what the draft is all about. Cesar Ruiz, I wish you the best in the Saints, man. Um, I had you as a maybe like the 34th, 35th best player in this year's draft. I could see you going in the first round. You went in the first round. Congratulations. I didn't think it was going to be the Saints. Love the pick here. You're getting a blocker. You might add an extra 1 or 2 years on Drew Brees' career with this pick. This is a pick that Drew Brees is going to love. And then obviously Alvin Kamara will like it. I don't know if you continue to dress the offensive line or what you do here in this draft, but I thought corner was surely going to be in play here, and it wasn't. Maybe even a Jordan Love just because Drew Brees is getting up there in age, but it wasn't. Cesar Ruiz here, solid pickup. I like the guy. I'm not sure if he was the 24th pick worthy, but Cesar Ruiz, congratulations, man. 25th, we got Minnesota trading back in the draft, and they trade back with the 49ers. The 49ers traded up. They get a little antsy. They're taking the last receiver here in the first round. And when they traded up, I figured it was going to be one guy, and I figured it was going to be Brandon Aiyuk out of Arizona State. Obviously, there's some injury concern with Brandon Aiyuk with the core surgery. I didn't put much into that. It's a good pickup. Core surgery, I don't think is really anything you can look at and be that serious about because usually it's just not going to affect you in the long term. Brandon Aiyuk, they've been saying he's better than N'Keal Harry. I like N'Keal Harry. I don't know if he's better than N'Keal Harry, but very solid pickup. N'Keal Harry was the 32nd pick in last year's draft, and Brandon Aiyuk is the 25th in this year's draft. So if you want to go based off of pick, yes, technically Brandon Aiyuk is better because he got drafted earlier than what N'Keal Harry did. But Arizona State, they're starting to see some receivers come out of there, and they're really solid receivers. Brandon Aiyuk is going to be one of the better players at receiver here for the 49ers. I think he's going into a very good situation. He has a situation where he's going with Jimmy Garoppolo, who can make the throws to him. He's not going with one of these quarterbacks that are on the edge like a CeeDee Lamb. He's going to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott might not have a job next year after this season. Jerry Jeudy. He's going with a young Drew Lock. You got Henry Ruggs. He's going to Derek Carr, who his job's not secure. You got Jalen Reagor, probably in a good situation with Carson Wentz, and you got Justin Jefferson, who's probably in a really good situation too in Minnesota. But you're going in a really good situation. You're going in a defending NFC North champions in the San Francisco 49ers. It's a good pick here. You got Jimmy G to throw him the ball. You already got some good running backs. Now start putting another receiver around him, and that San Francisco team might be making another run at the Super Bowl. It's going to be really interesting to see how the 49ers do next season. Brandon Aiyuk, very solid pick here for the 49ers. Next, we have the 26th pick, and this is where things went south for me at least because we have a trade from Miami to the Packers. The Packers trade up. I figured, you know what, they might be going receiver. They might be jumping up and maybe taking Jordan Love, the Patriot that I wanted. And that's exactly what they did. They took Jordan Love. They took the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers. When they made this pick, I was so mad, honestly. I have to see Jordan Love twice a year. He has a big arm. It makes sense to me, though. Green Bay, we've seen Aaron Rodgers throw the Hail Mary. Jordan Love has the big arm for the Hail Mary. Makes sense. It makes sense. Two big arm guys. And he gets to sit behind probably a top 10 quarterback of all time in Aaron Rodgers. Really good situation going in for Jordan Love. He's not going to start right off the bat. He's going to get mentored. But the thing is, he gets to do what Aaron Rodgers did to Brett Favre, and he gets to run him out of town. It's all in Jordan Love's hands now. Jordan Love is going to be probably the franchise quarterback, if I were to guess, going forward after maybe one or two more seasons of Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers, the time's ticking. Jordan Love is going to be the next quarterback for your Packers. I wanted to see him in New England. I don't want the Jacob Eason. Rob Kraft, please take Jalen Hurts. Please take Jalen Hurts. I don't want Jacob Eason. Please. Seattle Seahawks. This is a little surprising to me. I thought maybe AJ Epinesa would be in here. Maybe Yetur Gross-Matos. They didn't take them. They didn't take any of them. They took Jordan Brooks out of Texas Tech. Now, he's been a name that's been real solid. He's been real solid. He said he looked up to Bobby Wagner. Very good guy. Very good guy here in Jordan Brooks out of Texas Tech. I just didn't think he'd be a first rounder. He ended up going in the first round. They took over Patrick Queen, which was a little questionable to me at least. But Jordan Brooks, still a really solid pick here. The Baltimore Ravens taking the most Baltimore-like player in this year's draft in Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU. Very good stuff. Next, the Tennessee Titans. I thought maybe receiver would be in play. Maybe if Jordan Love was on the board, maybe they'd just get a little bit of competition for Ryan Tannehill. Think again. I did not see this. Isaiah Wilson, offensive tackle out of Georgia, here being the pick. It's going to be the replacement of Jack Conklin. Derrick Henry's going to have fun running behind Isaiah Wilson. Isaiah Wilson's still a little bit of a developmental tackle. To me, at least, he's still more ready than an Austin Jackson. I think he's coming in a little more polished. I don't know if he's going to have as much potential as an Austin Jackson, but Isaiah Wilson, a really solid pickup here for the Titans. It is a replacement for Jack Conklin. You like to see that. You like to see they're really investing in that offense, and then maybe later in the draft you can invest a little bit more in the defense. But this is a team that could be very scary next year, especially with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry hit his stride and became one of the best offensive players in the entire league. He's could do it. They could really do it next year. They could be a Super Bowl contender. Next, we got the Miami Dolphins with the Green Bay pick. This is a name I've been saying, maybe second round, maybe late first round, and it's Noah Igbinoghene. I like the kid. He's out of Auburn, defensive back. He's really good. I thought he might be in this range, and he ended up being, so the Bears missed out on him. Once again, the reason I wanted him to come to Chicago partly was so that I could pronounce his name properly, because I like to learn everybody on our team's name. But the other reason is he's a really good player. Noah, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be saying Igbinoghene very many times with you being in Miami. You didn't get Justin Herbert, so I'm not really interested in watching your games. I'm not a Tua fan, so I don't know how many Dolphins games I'll be watching. Igbinoghene. I'm sorry, but I'm probably not going to learn to pronounce your name properly, at least consistently. Next, the 31st pick in this year's draft, we have Minnesota Vikings taking this pick. They traded down with the San Francisco 49ers, and they get Jeff Gladney, cornerback out of TCU. I thought maybe a Jalen Johnson here, but Jeff Gladney, really solid pickup. I like Jeff Gladney as a corner. He's really good. I had him going as high as I think it was like the 18th pick, maybe the 17th pick. I don't know where I had him, but I have him going pretty early. Jeff Gladney at 31, real solid pickup here for the Vikings. They did real good. They did real good in this year's draft. They got Justin Jefferson at 22. That's a steal. They get Jeff Gladney, a guy that I thought might go in the top 20, at 31. They hit home runs in this draft. And last, and certainly not least, we have the Kansas City Chiefs addressing the offense in a position that I figured they would go here. I just didn't think it would be the guy they did. They took what a lot of people were saying was the third best running back, but he was a really good receiving running back, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire out of LSU, making him one of the many LSU players drafted on night one. I thought DeAndre Swift was going to be the guy here. I thought for sure he would have been. I mean, DeAndre Swift, he can catch out of the backfield. He's not as good as a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but DeAndre Swift just has all the things you love in a running back. He can be the workhorse if you need him to. He can be a receiving running back. Has more of an all-around game than what Jonathan Taylor could have given you. But you're not going wrong here taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's going to make plays out of the backfield for Patrick Mahomes, and it's going to be good for the Kansas City Chiefs. Anyways, thank you guys for listening to the review of the first round of the NFL Draft. Tonight is night 2 of the NFL Draft, and I'll be reviewing the entire NFL Draft come Monday. That ain't going to be today, though. That ain't going to be today. We're going to be talking about that on Monday. Anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy the podcast, and make sure you come back next time.